Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do you know how you reduce illegal immigration according to the left? It's really simple. You make illegal immigration legal. Biden was upset that the American people were complaining about the increase in legal immigration numbers at the border. So what did Biden do? He legalized illegal immigration by expanding the intended use of parole to fit his needs. The American people may be asking, what is parole? USCIS says that parole allows an individual who may be admissible or otherwise intelligible for admission to the United States to be paroled into the country for a temporary period. That's right. They created a lawful pathway for illegal aliens who would otherwise have no other entry into America. It should be temporary, but it's not. Specifically, the Biden administration expanded its parole authority by creating a new parole program specifically for citizens of Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. And as of October 2024, more than 530,000 Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans have flown into America under this program. President Biden doesn't care that he's allowed over 500,000 people legally into this country as he vacations in Nantucket with billionaires and won't encounter any of these people there. Just look at what happened to the people who arrived in Martha's Vineyard. They were barely there for 16 hours, and Martha's Vineyard kicked them out. It should come as no surprise the CHNV program is full of fraud. There was, in fact, so much fraud that they had to stop the program entirely in July of this year, as you know, ma'am. This rampant fraud and abuse shouldn't come as any surprise because Biden doesn't believe in the rule of law. We've seen this, and I'm from Texas. It has been despicable what has happened at our southern border. It's the opposite of what I would call the rule of law. And Biden only believes in the rule of law when it benefits him, his son Hunter, as we saw a couple of days ago, and other members of the Biden crime family. The border didn't benefit him, so he expanded parole. Having Hunter being a convicted felon didn't benefit him, so he gave him a blanket pardon for the last decade. I have a question for you, ma'am. This is kind of what I want to revisit back with Mr. Jordan. Does the parole program allow non-U.S. citizens to be financial supporters of parolees? And I'm talking about the CHNV. Does the parole program allow non-U.S. citizens to be financial supporters of parolees?
Yes, that's correct.
Why would you allow that?
Every supporter we confirm has the financial ability to support.
All of them.
That is what we will not confirm if a person does not have the financial ability to support an individual. And I will note, we allow for co-supporters. But
they're not citizens.
They may be. They may be.
Are they tax-paying citizens?
86% of supporters, 86%. So the vast majority.
So what I'm getting at is you have the
tax-paying
public. You have the tax-paying public that's funding non-citizens to be financial supporters of parolees. Do you know how ridiculous that sounds, ma'am?
I also want to note, when a person enters on parole, they are eligible to apply for employment authorization, and most of them do. And they become very quickly self-sufficient.
Okay, switching gears. So why was the program shut down in July? At that point, over 500,000 people had entered our country.
Every day at USCIS, we are looking at all of our processes to ensure we are doing the best we can, both at efficiency, at integrity, security, all of it.
But by that point, 400,000 people had already been entered. So it took you that long to figure that out.
In fact, we have been studying every process. As we have studied CHNV, we have made changes throughout. We decided most recently that we needed to make some additional changes that required us to momentarily pause while we could institute additional changes, notwithstanding the many changes we've been making throughout to stay many steps ahead of people that are trying to get around.
So do you think 530,000 people is acceptable? That's almost the size of a congressional district. You have to admit, that is an unbelievably high number of people that enter this country that are non-citizens. You have to admit that, correct? That's the size, almost the size of a congressional district in the United States. There's 435 of them.
As I've stated, effective border management has got to be a combination of the enforcement that we have in place.
But there's been no enforcement. There's been no enforcement because we have 20 million people enter this country illegally, and you have to admit that 530,000 people is unacceptable. I yield back the rest of my time. Thank you.
Gentleman's time has expired. If there are no further questions, that will conclude today's hearing. I want to thank our witness for appearing before the subcommittee today. Without objection, all members will have 5 legislative days to submit additional written questions to the witness or place additional materials in the record, although I hope that they will have more luck at getting a straight answer than we've gotten today. Without objection, the hearing is adjourned.